Okay, hello everybody. Welcome in on Wednesday today, I believe it is, with Longshore McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Yeah, here at Network Control, we don't have any calendars.
It's like Vegas with clocks,
Yeah. Got to get some calendars around here so I can tell what day it is. I do know this, Barry. It's the last day of the month.
Yes, 30 days has September, April, June, and November. We're already getting into May, and we've talked before about the calendar. Two things about getting older, and neither John or I are even approaching being old.
No.
It's not even it's so far down the horizon, I hesitate to even talk about it. One of them is it seems like the days go by quicker. I remember we were talking 1st of January with Marianne and Marco Reeds about, the new year or Christmas. And it seems like just a month or two ago. And here we are just on the cusp of May. Number two, it's like John says, you forget the day. My mother is retired and she's been retired for a while. And every once in a while she'll say, we'll ask her, hey, can you come to lunch? Or, we go somewhere this weekend, and she says, well, what's today? Old people do that a lot. Like I am so busy all the time, and John is pretty busy, but I'm so busy all the time. I have to know what day it is. I have to know the date. I have to know the time. All right, it's Wednesday. I got a meeting at 10 o'clock, got a game tonight. I welcome the day whenever I'll wake up and I'll say, is it Wednesday? Is it Thursday?
Yeah.
What,
My mother asked me that a lot. Is today Tuesday or Thursday, or is it Wednesday? She's 92, but she asked me a lot about what day.
Oh, yeah, but she's sharp as a tack,
Yeah, pretty sharp for her age, but still asks me what day it is.
Yeah,
I'm usually pretty good with knowing what day it is. I still hadn't, I kind of can just get a feel. I mean, today, for some reason, I thought, it is kind of Wednesday today. The week's gone by fast. Maybe that's why I'm wondering, is today Wednesday?
Well, it goes by fast for us. Heck, 2 hours goes by fast for us. We get ready to wrap up a program, and Gurn Jr.'s back there, tapping his, saying, wrap it up, boys, and everything. I'm thinking, we just got started. I didn't get to talk about this. I didn't get to talk about that. We still, we're hurrying to get the topic wheel done and everything. But even though this is what in the day kind of became obvious to us that separates the men from the boys in the sports talk genre.
Yeah.
Because a lot of you guys out there, we love you. I mean, we're thinking, and we got the best, we got the best viewers in the world. You guys are active on the chat line. You're loyal and all that. But we hear all the time people say, man, I could do what they do. Those guys, they got it easy. Those guys got it easy. Man, I could toss off a 2-hour show without even breaking a sweat. And there's a lot of people in the sports talk business who, man, right before, say, the week of the Iron Bowl, man, they are loaded up. Right before the NFL playoff start, man, on it. But how many people can absolutely dominate a late April show in the state of Alabama? I'm telling
you. We've been around, and we've been down this road before. We know how it works. We know how it operates. But, whether it's late April or mid-October, we're going to bring it every day.
Oh, yeah.
So we're used to that. We got that covered. Not a problem. As we wrap up with some spring sports, and certainly more coming, we got a lot to go at today. A lot of things on the list. I'm actually looking, Barry, I mentioned yesterday about some Alabama football players that were at the mullet toss. I'm seeing here today that looks like half the team was at Talladega on Sunday. I'm looking at yellowhammernews.com. Certainly, where else would you go to get all the latest info, news, sports, politics, the whole deal? And great write-up. Of course, there's a write-up about us as well. And a lot of pictures and videos of the team at Talladega. What is this? I mean, they just touring this. Is this the Crimson Caravan or something? Did they bring that back and they didn't tell me?
Or the Crimson Cruise, which Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Georgia just got to wrap one up. I'm trying to get Griff back on the show. He's been on a boat in the Caribbean for the last 2 weeks.
Well, here's what I wonder about stuff like that. A bunch of Alabama players going to Talladega. I don't think they bought their tickets,
No.
And hey guys, you want to help me spring for a Towers pass from the Towers suite? And hey man, you get free hot dogs and stuff. In stuff like that, big events around the state of Alabama, how much do they pay to get Ryan Williams in there? Because I did see the tweet or the Instagram post from him. He's down there before the race at Talladega on Sunday. He's on the track or on the apron. And he's got a little Instagram thing that says, man, I'm wearing number 2. I got to go with my man number 2, whoever that was in the Talladega race and everything. This is lit and all that kind of stuff.
Didn't that used to be Rusty Wallace? Wasn't he 2 back in the day?
Oh, you're asking the wrong guy.
I think only
number. I remembered Dale.
Yeah, number 3.
I remember Petty. For some reason, I remember Ned Jarrett. And
Dick Trickle was 47, I think. I got to look that one up.
But yeah, stuff like that. Do they? How much does it go for somebody like Ryan Williams, who, John, is only 18 years old?
Yes. I think I heard that before.
Getting involved in something like that. How many of them? How much did it cost? I got to ask the Floribama to. This is my mental impression. Limousine pulls up to Tuscaloosa, or one of those party bus deals, pulls up to Tuscaloosa, loads in 6, maybe 8 of those guys, takes them down to the Floribama mullet toss.
Let me stop you there. I think that shuttle bus took them to the Tuscaloosa airport. They flew down there, and they made their appearance, and then they flew to Talladega. I don't think.
All right. Okay. All right. Yeah.
So
I
somebody paid to fly them, and maybe these people wanted them there for an appearance, and they paid them an appearance fee. And,
yeah.
There again, I don't think they just showed up because they wanted to go put their toes in the water or whatnot, or go smell the what NASCAR fuel smells like. So I'm sure they picked up all the transportation and food, and hey, come and we'll take care of everything. Y'all just come enjoy yourself.
Yeah. That's what it takes these days. I mean, when I was in college, I'd go to the beach. This is when I was at Florida. I'd go to the beach. I went to the Police concert in Lakeland, stuff like that. It's a different day and age for those student athletes, but
and I got to tell you, Barry, I used to be up to date. I was in the know. I could just look at a player and tell you who he is. I don't know who some of these people are. Maybe there again, I don't want to say I'm not connected or I don't follow it as closely. Right. I just don't. And maybe is that transfer portal? Is it? I don't know. I'm just trying to think. Is normally
leaving early,
I'm thinking, man, I should know who every one of these people are, and I do not.
How many times at SEC Media Days would I be sitting in there in one of the interview rooms for electronic media, recording one of the speakers on my laptop, and all of a sudden you hear those double doors behind me, bang. Everybody looks around. It's Longshore. He comes walking up to me, sits down, side of his mouth. Who is this?
Yeah.
It's the quarterback of Missouri.
Ooh.
John gets up. 2 seconds later, bang. And everybody's looking around. I mean, not 2 seconds. That guy's up there trying to answer a question, and maybe it's one of those uncomfortable pauses of 15 seconds, and he's thinking, am I done? Does anybody... And he's up there, and he sees that guy get up, and just walk right out right in the middle of it. Don't even bother to shut the door, close. It's like bang.
That was another reason, Barry, we needed to get away from that facility because those doors were loud. They were not soft closing doors. So if you wanted to kind of ease out after you saw the left tackle at Mississippi State, I don't want to hear what this guy's got to say. Yeah. You could, you just really couldn't make a clean break because that door was loud. You had to kind of ease it shut. Even when you opened it, it rattled, made a lot of clanking and whatnot. So you couldn't really just ease in there. Never really liked that much. But I guess, here it is. Spring football's over. I know it's probably, you're working out on your own. You kind of got to, set up your own plan to some degray. So I guess there's time to go to the mullet toss and the Talladega and
make a little extra money. Yeah.
I did notice there's a large group of coaches around the country that are participating in this. I think Chick-fil-A puts it on. It's kind of a coaches golf event over in Lake Oconee over in Georgia, in between Atlanta and Augusta. They've been doing it forever. I think it's the Chick-fil-A Challenge. It used to be like a coach and a player would team up, or a former player would team up and play in this competition, probably best ball or scramble or something like that. And I think it's going on right now. There was a picture I saw earlier today about the coaches that were there, but Kalen DeBoer's not one of them. Hugh Freeze is there.
Oh, he loves to play
Kirby
golf
Smart's there. Several Gus Malzahn is there.
Who?
Yeah.
The offensive coordinator at Florida State?
All right. That's right. So look, so a lot going on there, but not the Alabama coach. There was a lot of other coaches that I did not recognize in the picture. I'm going to try to find it today and see if I can go over who some of these are.
Well, John's taking pictures with coaches.
Yeah.
And he hasn't recognized who they are. Who is that, Barry?
The head coach at Florida State. Is that going to be a tricky game for Alabama at night in Tallahassee? And Malzahn getting another crack at the Crimson Tide, who's kind of giving them fits over the years. Is that going to be a problem?
I sure hope so. I sure hope so. That would I can't remember the last time Alabama had a losing record. It might do them good psychologically. We realize this as well, and we're going to get into it. I mean, get into it in a little bit. Our guy Bob from Pike Road, he's not feeling it. Dog days of sports. Baseball, watching paint dry. If you're not there in person. Basketball, completely uninterested. I'll be interested in the PGA Championship and the U.S. Open. August comes soon. I get it, Bob. This is not one of those where I'm saying, oh, Bob. No, we have thousands and thousands of people like you that it's football season, football, then football recruiting. But even that's not very much fun anymore. Spring practice. You don't even have games anymore in spring practice. So there's a lot of you out there that consider yourself huge sports fans that are really just big football fans. And I get it. I'm fine with that. But we keep it interesting here on this program.
Well, and Bob, I just got to tell you, Bob, you got to give it a chance. I think the NBA right now is really interesting. Even when the game's over and the father of a player on the opposing team goes up to a player and lets him know how he feels about it when the game's over. In the Pacer-Buck game last night, I don't really condone
Tyrese Halliburton's dad.
Yeah, I don't think that's something you should be doing. Whether it's the NBA or YMCA basketball,
it's a little different in the NBA. In Y ball or in youth league baseball or in little kitty travel baseball and stuff. You get that big old saddlebag mama out there. She's still wearing yoga pants.
Yes, that's right.
Nobody's sat her down and had that talk to her. But Tyrese Halliburton, game winner. Pacers beat the Bucks, and Tyrese Halliburton goes out. His dad goes out on the court and is giving Giannis Antetokounmpo a little what for about, man, you shouldn't have been doing that to my son. Your son's making millions of dollars to do what he's doing.
So,
Barry, that's like the daddy going out there to the construction site and telling his son Rocky's coworker, man, you better not be bullying my son anymore. Dad, I'm 40, okay? Stop it, please.
I know there are courtside seats, Barry, but how did this guy get on the floor? Unless he's sitting on the court, I'm thinking, what? Did he just go down about 15 rows?
Yeah.
The usher's not looking. I mean, are you kidding me?
Or, maybe his son's got him some sort of a pass or something, which probably ain't going to happen anymore. He done took care of that.
We might have jumped the route. That could be on the topic wheel today. I got a feeling that would be something that would be on it. So
yeah, if it's interesting and offbeat, our man Gurn has.
Yeah, so I got a feeling that could be. I hope I didn't jump the route on that when I saw it earlier as I was scanning between college coaches at celebrity golf events. What do you think this? Oh, Spurrier was there too. Spurrier was there. Of course, he's a big golfer. Some of these coaches are going to come back to me that I saw, but I didn't see DeBoer, but I did see Freeze. But anyway,
how much longer is he going to? I know he's a big golfer.
Oh, yeah.
And I know, love me some Spurrier. He was the absolute icon of my youth. But, John, he's 80 years old now. 80. How much longer is he going to get out there? And is he going Gary Player?
See, what I'd like to know, Barry,
in these things?
Do people like Spurrier get to tee off from the old man tees?
I hope
they're 80. And like the younger coaches have to tee off at the white tees, as they say, or maybe push them back to the blue tees. I wonder how that works. Now, Spurrier, to me, would be the kind of guy, no, wait a minute. I'm teeing off with everybody else. I ain't moving up here to the old man tees. He's arrogant enough to not want to get that extra 30, 40 yards a hole.
Me? Hey, man, I'm driving the cart up there, getting off there, and having them drive back to the tips themselves. Yeah. Hey, I'm going to mine first, then you back up. Well, we are underway. It is Wednesday. It is the Wednesday show.
It is Wednesday, yes.
Not too far away from visiting with CJ Duncan, who got some really good publicity at Yellowhammer News.
Yes, he did.
Yesterday. Very proud of that guy. I'm very proud to have him as a contributor on this show. He's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight in association with Yellowhammer News. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Ford announces employee pricing on every new 24 and most new 25 Fords, and only at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, up to $5,000 below employee pricing, plus no payments for 90 days. From America, for America, at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, home of America's best-selling truck for nearly 50 years in a row, the F-150, with hundreds to choose from. The Ford Escape, the Ford Edge, and the Ford Bronco, all priced at thousands below invoice. And pack up the crew in a Ford Expedition or a Ford Explorer for the beach, the lake, or the big game. It's all at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, where price sells cars.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Phoenix Physical Therapy is ready to help patients recover, recharge, and rise. They develop a customized therapy plan for each patient to get them back to enjoying their favorite activities. Their experienced team is committed to providing exceptional care in a professional environment. Whether you're looking to prevent or treat an injury, recover from a recent illness, or recuperate from surgery, schedule an appointment with our clinic and take advantage of our physical therapy, athletic training, workers' comp, and employer solutions service. Experience elevated physical therapy today. Call Phoenix Physical Therapy at 239-9316. That's 239-9316.
Welcome back in. Glad you're with us here on this Wednesday, about 19 minutes past the hour, here with Longshore and McKnight. We talked about this earlier in the week, I believe, maybe even late last week, that the current president will be not handling or giving the commencement address.
Delivering the commencement address.
That's right. Delivering the commencement address in Alabama.
Yes.
Well, I see today that he's also going to have a special guest there with him as well. I'm wondering who is more popular, Donald Trump or Nick Sabin?
Nick Sabin is going to be on it's not just appearing, but he is going to be on the rostrum.
Yeah.
According to the University of Alabama in a press release, the ceremony, and I quote, the ceremony will celebrate the UAT class of 2025 and will feature an address from President Donald J. Trump, along with comments from UA President Stuart R. Bell and Nick Sabin, former coach of the Crimson Tide football team. Very nice of the University of Alabama to clarify who Nick Sabin is at the very end of it. He has been really kind of apolitical in his entire career. I know he was like childhood buddies with Joe Manchin from West Virginia, but he has really stayed away from any sort of political leanings. I mean, whenever Alabama won national championship number whatever it was under Sabin, when Trump was in office before, he was up there and had the picture at AOL.com has him with an Alabama jersey, Sabin with an Alabama jersey at the White House next to Trump with the jersey said Trump. I'm thinking, why is Trump a Waddle fan? You know, what is it about Kenyon Drake that the president really but he's always stayed away from that, and I don't blame him.
Wait a minute. You have missed the most famous player to wear 17.
Not Waddle, not Kenyon Drake, and those are off the top of my head.
Double six guns?
Philip Doyle?
Yeah.
Was Philip Doyle 17?
Yes.
All right, somebody over here on the chat line. You guys, what? Somebody confirm that to me. Philip, I guess he was.
Yeah, double six guns.
But my point is, I mean, he was on the stage for that at the White House when Trump was in office the first time, but he's kind of stayed away from that stuff.
Yeah.
Number one, why now? I mean, to be clear, if the sitting president, I don't care who he is, invites your boy here to speak at an event he's speaking at, I'm doing it. I'm not going to be especially political about it, but I would do it. It's not that he shouldn't, but number one, that's going to get Trump a lot of support that he's already got a ton of support in Alabama anyway.
Yeah.
But that's kind of a big deal for him, right?
Yeah.
And number two, do you need Sabin up there to speak when you've already got the president? If I'm Nick, I'm saying, hey, I'll say a couple of words. I'll welcome everybody in and all that, but maybe a minute and a half, because they don't need me to goose up the attendance.
Maybe it's a show of respect for the office. And, we heard some talk about the Philadelphia Eagles that visited the White House earlier this week. And Saquon Barkley caught a little flack for playing golf with Trump and flying on Air Force One. Jalen Hurts elected not to go to the ceremony. To each his own. But I think it's probably more of that, just respecting. And obviously, Trump came to a couple of games in which Sabin was coaching. Maybe he's returning the favor, whatever it is.
I got it.
So I get that. I did see somewhere where the University Democratic Caucus, made up of some students that are Democrats, are going to protest.
Right.
See, that's
Donald
Trump.
That's my big question.
some politician from who is it? From Texas. He actually ran for president. Some younger guy. I can't think of his name. I'm looking at him. He's actually coming to be a part of the protest. What's he need to be here for? He didn't even live in the state. But overall, it's Snow Hinton Park, which, if I'm not mistaken, is off McFarland by the mall. I don't know why they're doing it there. But be that as it may, they're going to come, protest, which I don't know what good that's going to do. But
I get that. His reputation, his aura is almost unmatched in American society. I mean, there's a lot of Auburn fans hate his guts, but by and large, Sabin is, if he doesn't do another thing, if he retires from College Game Day and doesn't do any more with Aflac and whatever, I mean, he'll have one of the most well-cemented legacies ever. There's going to be people out there, Alabama fans, certainly Alabama faculty and all that are dog cussing Sabin right now.
It's a good point.
That loved him, that, wins, woo-woo. High tide, guys, high tide. Yeah. They're there and they're, celebrating national championships. And you know what the political climate is. Sabin on the same program with Donald Trump. Woo. They will never utter his name again.
Yeah, that Earthshoe crowd, those professors that are still wearing the ragwool sweaters, they're probably not real happy about it. But there it is,
I wonder what the tone is going to be like. Couldn't be just but a few minutes. You don't want to upstage the president.
No.
That's the thing about it. Trump, Sabin's going to get a lot of applause. I mean, It's a captive crowd. They're not there for Trump, really. They're not there for Sabin, really. They're there to walk across the stage, get their name called, blah, blah, blah. So it's not like they're going to get up and leave or anything like that. Maybe they will. But Trump's going to get maybe, he'll get a lot of applause. There's no question. Maybe a smattering of boos or something, maybe from the crowd. But Sabin's going to get a standing freaking ovation, man. He's going to upstage Trump. He ain't going to like that.
I would think Trump with that crowd's going to get a pretty good
I imagine so.
Warm reception. I mean, is Trump going to stay there the whole time and hand out those diplomas and shake every graduate's hand? I don't think so. Sabin wouldn't even do that. I mean, they're going to do their little thing and move on.
I love, I read the names out at Troy's graduation, at Troy's commencement, which is coming up in a couple of weeks. Actually, Troy's a large enough enrollment now that they've broken it up into two. That is by the end of it, I am fried, man.
I bet.
But then again, you got Dr. Jack Hawkins. He's over there. He is shaking every hand. And the executive associate, Dr. Palmer, they're shaking every hand. That is thousands of hands. Trump ain't doing that.
No,
he's not doing that. Sabin ain't doing that. Stuart Bell might be doing that, but by the end, he's like, "Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much."
Again, I'll be interested to find out is Trump going to talk to graduates about what they need to be doing and looking ahead to, or is it going to be a political speech? Which I hope going to be more of that.
If he's smart to submit it won't be political because he doesn't need to upstage the guy. What the worst thing that could happen out of the whole deal in terms of ideology is for, and there's going to be a billion TV outlets and all that kind of stuff, is for people to be able to say, Trump's speech kind of meandered. Sabin was awesome. Sabin, as far as speech content, he said more in his 2 minutes that made sense than what anything Trump said in a half hour. Trump is going to get upstaged a little bit just because of Sabin's presence. But if everybody in the nation looks at the video, and there will be video, and say, man, Sabin makes a lot more sense than the president does. All of a sudden, are we looking at bumper stickers that say Sabin Vance 2028?
Well, I'm thinking this, Barry, and it's interesting that you are on the same street that I'm on.
Yeah.
With Tommy Tuberville about to announce he's running for governor, which opens up his Senate seat, you could have Senator Sabin.
Oh, Wow.
Now, there again, I don't think Sabin's the type that wants to get caught up in that rat race. I don't think Sabin wants to live in D.C. And I've said this before. I mean, I think Tuberville is a senator. Great. A lot of recognition. Got some things done. He's a close ally of Trump. To me, it's a pretty good situation. And being a senator to me is, I mean, if I was in politics, I'd love to be a U.S. senator. That'd probably be where I'd want to be. But I've kind of detected it just in the times that we've talked to Senator Tuberville. I'm not sure he loves D.C. I think he'd rather be back here. Probably doesn't really like the political process either. I mean, if Kamala would have gotten hired, he'd already been back home. I don't think he would have. Well, he said, I'm done. But I'm a little surprised that you would give up a senator seat to be the governor. But that's what he wants to do. And, more power to him. And he'll get elected. There's no doubt about it. I don't have a problem with it. I'd rather be a senator, but to each his own.
Well, I'm surprised. It's a little bit different in terms of the dynamics. This is my political science degree coming out here. Depending on what you like, here's why Sabin wouldn't do it. Here's why Sabin wouldn't be a senator. Politics is the art of compromise.
Yeah.
You never get everything you want. You're telling another senator, look, I'll support that little ag bill you've got right there if you support my education funding bill. All right?
Yeah.
You got me on this, but if I do this, you got to do these two things for me. It's all the art of compromise. Sabin doesn't seem to be especially skilled at compromise. I mean, when he was at Alabama, he's telling every player what to do, expecting total obedience. He's telling the university president, look, I want this, I want that. Okay, get that, and on your way out, shut the door.
Yeah, and telling the board of trustees
doing that. You can't.
We're going to expand this weight room, so go ahead and get construction started, but you don't announce it for 3 months down the road, which actually happened.
Yeah, you can't do that in the Senate. Sabin can't go in the Senate chambers or on the Senate floor and say, all right, you vote this way, you vote that way, you shut up, you speak, and you go get me some coffee.
Yeah, I get it. And I think, maybe there were some Republicans that rubbed Tuberville the wrong way. I don't know. But I promise you there's some Democrats that do. And he's probably looking over there going, I got to deal with this guy. I got to deal with her. Done.
Get me to Montgomery, and then and to my point, then I can go back and I can tell everybody what to do as the governor, or a lot more people.
So, I mean, I don't know. I think I think it's kind of cool that he's been a senator, and we certainly appreciate his time that he's joined us here. But
no question,
I got to admit, I've kind of detected it, particularly during the Biden years. I think Tuberville was so frustrated.
Well, what am I doing? He told us. He said, man, I'm so tired of it up here. I'm tired of, I'm tired of having to deal with all these people.
And I guess, Barry, I'm just of the impression that once you get elected senator, you're always a senator. I mean, I'm sure it's happened. I know John, who was the senator? Dent for Alabama. He was the war veteran who was.
Jeremiah Dent. And John Dent is one of our. John Dent is one of our chatters.
Yes.
Jeremiah Denton, who was a war hero, Vietnam War, POW and everything. And
he was only a one-term senator. He got beat. In re-election, he got beat. But you just don't see that very often. It's like, man, if you become a senator, boom, you're done.
Yeah, Richard Shelby, those guys, they were there forever. Well, it's interesting. I've got to look it up when it is, because
commencement's this Saturday, I believe. I think it's this Saturday.
Oh,
it's maybe Friday. I think it's either Friday or Saturday, because
we'll look
juniors coming. Yeah, because school's out Friday. It's the last day, so I know it's coming up soon.
Yep.
So that'll be interesting. Barry, when we get back, I've been warning people about this. This is a little, I don't know. When I heard it yesterday, when I saw it and I dug into it, I went, this isn't good. We'll talk about it when we get back.
In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Known by avid golfers as one of the most beautiful and challenging stops on the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail, Cambrian Ridge in Greenville lies just 40 miles from Montgomery. It is well worth the ride for any golfer looking for 27 holes of jaw-dropping golf. The greens have been redesigned to accommodate the higher green speeds associated with their installation of the latest generation of ultra-dwarf Bermuda grass. Cambrian Ridge offers a fully stocked pro shop with all the latest equipment and apparel. Great food and beverages in the clubhouse can be enjoyed both before and after your round. Get your group together and hit the trail. Go to rtjgolf.com/Cambrian Ridge for tee times and more information.
Introducing Budweiser Zero. 0% alcohol, 0 grams of sugar for Budweiser flavor. A refreshing alcohol-free brew that tastes like the real thing. Budweiser Zero. 0 alcohol, 0 compromise.
You're not buying sticks, stems, and pine cones. You're buying premium long-diddle pine straw from River Region Straw. Kenny and his staff have access to the best pine straw in the River region, full of color that will last all season long. Kenny has locations in Montgomery, Prattville, and Auburn, and no order is too big or too small, from a few bales to an 18-wheeler trailer load. Pickup is available, or your order can be delivered. They can even spread your pine straw if you like. So call or text Kenny today, 669-5959. That's 669-5959 for all of your pine straw needs. All righty, welcome back in, everybody. About 23 minutes to the top of the hour. I did find quickly before I get into this financial story, the pairings for this Chick-fil-A coaches deal, and obviously there must not be a lot of coaches in the SEC that like golf or play it, because this has turned into an event where P.J. Fleck from Minnesota is in the event, Tom O'Brien from Boston College, which, I kind of like
Bill
Boston
O'Brien,
College.
yeah, like him.
Well, it says Tom O'Brien.
Well, that
Boston.
tells you something.
Yeah.
That tells you something. He was the infamous B.O.B., the former Alabama offensive coordinator, who Bob from Pike Road just bashed on all the time.
Brent Key and Chan Gailey, former Georgia Tech coaches.
Yeah.
Randy
Chan Gailey's got to be
Edsel.
pushing 80. I know Coach Gailey really well. Used to
Scott Satterfield from Cincinnati. Pat Narduzzi from Pitt. Wait a minute. This used to be a SEC ACC challenge. They're letting all these other people in. Kyle Whittingham from Utah. Ugh.
Satterfield is Tom O'Brien's ACC, Narduzzi's ACC. Do they get outbid for that? I mean, do SEC coaches take bids to appear in those, like Ryan Williams at the Floribama?
But I think they're kind of taking Derek Dooley. I think they're kind of taking whoever they can get. Is what I'm seeing here. I think maybe some of the lusters.
Derek Dooley.
Yeah. PJ Fleck. I mean, does the Big Ten not have one of these events? A PJ Fleck.
Yeah. Love me some PJ Fleck.
So I don't know.
He coached Minnesota. He did one thing that got John's respect. He coached Minnesota in a bowl game where they beat the Aubs. All right.
Yeah, he sure did. Yeah, that was the row the boat or.
That's him, yeah, the row the boat guy. Yeah.
Row the boat guy, yeah. He wears sweater vest all the time, I think.
And ties. He wore ties and sweater vests.
Yeah,
yes.
Well, I bet that can get hot.
Yeah.
Here's what I saw, and I've been kind of, talking about this for a while. And it's interesting because we mentioned about do you really want Texas in the league? I mean, is this what you really want? I saw yesterday, Barry, the Houston Chronicle. Maybe you can pull this up. The Houston Chronicle is reporting that the University of Texas the team we were talking about yesterday, so you really want, their teams are good across the board, is spending between $35 and $40 million on their 2025 football roster.
Now, when we say, just to be clear, for those of you who don't realize, when we say spending that much money, what was it? 35 and $40 million on their football roster. They're spending that much money on their roster for weights for them to get stronger or smoothie bars or anything like that. They're talking about, this is how much they are paying their players. There's something called the Texas One Fund, which is a fund associated with Texas athletics that's going to be responsible for paying players. Unless the House settlement goes through and limited to $20.5 million. I don't know, these aren't grandfathered in or anything, but this is Arch Manning. This is, some of those other guys, $35 to $40 million and 85 scholarships. They say by far the highest paid Texas player is Arch Manning. But according to that source, he doesn't take a dime from the school. He and his family acquired all of his deals on their own with no help from the school. In other words, his NIL is actually really NIL. His family goes out and they serve as his agents, and they say, hey, look, you want Arch at your chicken finger restaurant for 3 hours on Friday? This is how much it's going to cost and everything. So that's everybody else besides their most popular player. $35 to $40 million. That's on average about $500,000 a player.
So let me ask you this, and I'm just going to narrow it down to these two because we talk about it the most. But I want to expand it, which I will. But my first question, how are Auburn and Alabama going to compete with that? That's the first thing that entered my mind. Year in and year out, how can schools like Alabama and Auburn compete with a school that's spending $35 to $40 million just this year? And if things go well, you got to think they're going to spend more because there's a lot more out there for them to spend.
If there's no limits, yeah.
So how does Auburn and Alabama keep up? How does Mississippi State keep up? How does South Carolina, Arkansas? How do they do it?
What's the name of the kid, the wide receiver who caught the 4th and goal from the 35? Isaiah Bond. Isaiah Bond catches one of the most iconic plays, game-winning touchdown, under a minute left, 4th and goal from the 31-yard line. Isaiah Bond makes the catch. That dude would be cemented the rest of his life in Crimson Tide lore, but transfers to Texas right after that. Why do you think he did it? Because Texas paid him a lot more than Alabama could.
Mm-hmm.
There have been a couple of other guys that have left Alabama and gone to Texas. They can get anybody they want if all that it is money. Now, you could make the case that Alabama traditionally over the years has developed their players better than Texas have. They've swung and missed on a couple of coaches, the Longhorns have. But if all it is just pure money for yourself, they can get anybody they want. Not Auburn, Alabama. I would imagine that money that Texas spends, John, I would not be surprised if that is more, significantly more, than Auburn and Alabama spend combined. Or Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, Missouri spend combined?
I'd say this.
It's close.
And I don't know, but for just, excuse me, from what I'm hearing and discussing, I would say both Auburn and Alabama together spend about the high end of that number that Texas is spending.
Okay.
I think they're spending about $20 million apiece. And Texas is doubling that, spending 40. One team spending
And again,
40. The two teams in this state are spending half of that.
And the two teams in this state aren't exactly at the low end of the SEC.
Mm-mm.
Think about Mississippi State. Think about Kentucky. Think about Arkansas and Missouri and some of those. Texas is they can afford to cherry pick. Whew, I did not see that article. That's a good get.
So how do you keep up? Is Ohio State going to spend $40 million? Maybe they spent a lot last year. Is Southern Cal ever going to get into the game and spend that kind of money? But, Texas, they don't seem to even think about it. Doesn't even affect them. $40 million, so what? Big deal.
All right. More to John's point again. This is to support his point, but I'll go in a little bit of a different tangent because it's the same article in the Houston Chronicle. Here's the latest, and I'm quoting, here's the latest title countdown. The Longhorn men's tennis team just won the regular season and postseason SEC tournament, giving Texas 6 SEC championships this year. 6. And getting it closer to the league record. According to Herb Vincent of the SEC office in his research, Arkansas holds the modern-day mark with 10 SEC regular or postseason titles in 2020-2021. They won 8 championships. Arkansas did in 21-22. Florida won 8 twice in 2012, 2013, and 09 and 10. Now, Arkansas wins in like cross country all the time, men's and women's track and field, and da-da-da. Texas is within 2 of the record. In their very first year in the league, they have got 7 more sports titles to be decided in the next 2 months. And as John and I pointed out, Texas baseball's number 1 in the country. Softball's number 5. They're going to do it. They're going to set an SEC record for a number of SEC championships in 1 year. And they have had 9 different sports that have reached number 1 in the country at some point this year.
I'm wondering,
the school has 21 sports. 9 of them have been ranked number 1 at some point in the country this year.
I mean, I'm thinking like a school like Ole Miss. If they won 9 national titles in their history,
in
much less a year,
everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you got Texas swooping on in and just taking over. Talked about this the other day. Is this what you really wanted? Not only are they winning championships, but they're outspending you by twice of what you're spending. How does Auburn, and there again, other schools, certainly they're affected, but right here, Auburn, Alabama, how do you keep up? Sabin said it years ago at the club, and Jimbo Fisher got all bent out of shape, but that's what he was talking about.
Yeah,
how are we going to keep up?
And here it
is 2-3 years later, and I'm asking the same thing. How are they going to keep up? Couple of quick ones. Dennis Mitchell wants to know when the football magazines are coming out. He also would like to know your thoughts about the late Terry Gordy. Wasn't that guy a record producer?
That was Barry Gordy.
Barry Gordy.
Barry Gordy founded Motown Records, and his son Barry Gordy Jr. was better known as Rockwell. And he had that song "Somebody's Watching Me" with Michael Jackson.
Yeah, okay.
I have no thoughts on Terry Gordy. I don't know who Terry Gordy is.
Yeah.
But Dennis, see, the thing about football magazines, and I love them. Give me Street and Smiths when I was a kid. I used to love Street and Smiths because that was the magazine that not only had the picture, glossy color photo on the front of the football player with his Gator helmet or Georgia helmet or Alabama helmet
Beautiful.
without the face mask. Remember
Yes,
those?
I do.
And they would have at least an inch on everybody. You could find out more about Gettysburg College, Susquehanna, but huge write-ups on Florida and Florida State and Georgia and Tennessee and all that kind of stuff. They were the ones that, I mean, they'd give you everything. Gettysburg College running back Fred Smith ran for 1,800 yards last year, including a 200-yard game against Lehigh, stuff like that. I used to devour that stuff. Theota says, come on, Barry. Terry Gordy was one of the fabulous Freebirds. Come on, man.
I thought he was in the fabulous Thunderbirds. Tough enough.
Oh, good one. Yeah. Or the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. Yeah.
All right, when we come back on our VIP text line, people ask all the time, how do I get on the VIP text line? I can't tell you. It's one of those things. It's like Augusta National. You don't ask.
Yeah. If you have to ask, you can't afford it.
Yeah. So on the VIP text line, someone, our man Chris, is asking an interesting question. I'm going to give you my take on it and see what Barry has to say.
Yeah, when we come back, good stuff from Chris, one of our VIPs out of the Hertz counter at the Montgomery Regional Airport. We're 9 minutes left in our first live hour of the show in association with Yellowhammer News. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Here we are at Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry. Our friend, everybody's friend, Mary Ann is with us. Mary Ann, April is a special month, even more special at Marguerite's.
Definitely. Okay, so it's the first of the month, Barry. What's that birthstone?
It's a diamond, right?
Yes. Winner. It's easy to remember because with April comes baseball season, baseball diamond. We've got diamond month here at Marguerite's, and it is a great time. We are having diamond month to really emphasize all the great diamonds we have in stock. We're doing crazy specials on natural as well as lab created diamonds with solitaire specials, starting out at, this is crazy to believe, $500 for a lab created diamond solitaire. That's insane. Like a 1 carat inner ring. We have diamond studs, diamond tennis necklaces, tennis bracelets. Everything with our diamonds are going to be unmatched, unparalleled prices. And loose stones, again, maybe because it is baseball season and you're watching all of those games that you need to give a little extra something, or that girlfriend that you've been dating for a while needs to get an engagement ring. Well, now is definitely the time to do it because our loose diamonds are on special.
Yeah, if you are thinking about an engagement, here's a pro tip. That may be Marianne's favorite thing to do at Marguerite's, is to help the guys make sure their odds are good with a beautiful diamond for that loved one that they're going to pop the question to, right?
Most definitely. It's great to help. We love helping you. The hardest thing you have to do is walk through the door. Next thing, I mean, honestly, you just say, I need to get engaged, or between the two of us or the rest of these listeners, I can tell when a guy walks through. They kind of just have that look and they're just walking slow and looking around. And I'm like, need an engagement ring? And they just shake their head. I take it from there. Just get some ideas. White gold, yellow gold, diamonds. We have them. Guys, it's not hard. Honestly, just walk through the door. We can help you.
Yeah, it's not intimidating at all. They have people who would love to help, especially in Diamond Month in April in Marguerite. Yes. Marianne, as always, it's so great to talk with you. What are the hours of operation?
Sure. We're open 7 days a week in the Pepper Tree Shopping Center, 10 to 5:30, Monday through Friday, 10 to 5 on Saturday, and noon to 5 on Sunday.
Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry, Pepper Tree Center, next to Chappie's Deli, 8163 Vaughn Road in Montgomery. Thanks very much, Marianne. Great to see you.
Great to see you, too.
Okay, a couple of minutes to the top of the hour, Longshore and McKnight here on a Wednesday, brought to you by Yellowhammer News. You can check us out at yellowhammernews.com for all types of information, from politics to news to lifestyle to sports. It's all there. There's a write-up about our program each and every day, and you can get a recap of what happened on the show. You can watch it at yellowhammernews.com. Also on Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram, Spotify. It's all there for you. So check it out. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. You'll never miss an episode. You'll never miss any content. When it drops, you will be notified.
Here's our text on the VIP text line. And no, it's not just Bammers.
No, it's not.
Chris, who's a great buddy of ours, he heads up the Hertz counter out there at the Montgomery Regional Airport. Love that guy. He says, my concerns are how are schools like Troy going to keep up? Or do you think conferences like the Sun Belt and whatever conference UAB got into won't feel it as much? Here's what needs to happen, and it's a viable concern, there's no question. Two things need to happen, and two things I think will happen. Number one, the House settlement will set a limit to the number of, to the amount of money that a school can pay. It won't be collectives anymore. The school will be responsible for dispersing payments to student athletes, and it will be strictly, and you have to be able to account for it, strictly the original intent of NIL. You're paying your student athletes a certain amount of money, and it's not pay for play. You are going to show up at this event, or you're going to show up at our summer caravan tour. We're going to have you over here at one of our sponsors' events and all that. Truly, where your appearance and your name or image or likeness are going to be where you get the money. That needs to happen to cap it at $20.5 million. You need to have a more sensible transfer portal. I still think, and I'm all about the students getting paid, but I do think there needs to be contracts, multi-year contracts. Look, we're going to pay you, but you have to have some sort of an allegiance or a loyalty to us. We told this story about Nico Iamaleava from Tennessee. He went to UCLA. Turned out to be a bad business move. Maybe he wanted to be closer to home because he's making less at UCLA than he was making at Tennessee. He thought he was worth more. His brother, his younger brother, his name is Madden. He was actually named for the video game. Not for the former Raiders coach.
Yeah.
Madden Iamaleava was a freshman quarterback at Arkansas. And when his brother transferred to UCLA, he hopped in the portal. He went to UCLA with him. Madden Iamaleava is a true freshman. He got in January. He's a quarterback at Arkansas. Got in January, went through spring and all that kind of stuff. And then once his big NIL payment came through, he got his NIL payment, cashed that check, and then transferred. He went through spring. That's all he did. He never took a snap for Arkansas. He never, played in a full-blown, big-time, full-contact scrimmage at Arkansas. He came in just long enough to get his big NIL payment. Then he's out the door. That can't happen anymore.
No,
you need to have that.
You got to have that like
commitment.
you mentioned. Yeah, like a contract. You got to commit to us for a year or two if we're going to give you this money. I know Hugh Freeze has talked about that a lot. I'm with it. My concern, though, Barry, and this has been my concern from the get-go, and I think maybe this is where Chris is getting at it. If the Big Ten and the SEC do one day split away, and the TV networks want those teams dominating their airwaves and their coverage of college football, and the playoff ends up being all of those type schools and a Big 12 and an ACC mixed in, and the Mountain West and the MAC and the Sun Belt are not invited, are not a part of it. Yeah. How are they going to keep up? I mean, do they one day just split off and do their own thing with all of those conferences and then let these other conferences do their thing and try to come up with their own TV deal, own bowl structure? I wonder if we ever get to that, because my fear is if it continues to be all about these schools and these leagues that produce the most money and the best television ratings, these other conferences are going to get left behind.
Well, what concerns me, and you're not wrong, I am not in favor of breaking off and having a little group of 5 playoff or anything like that. But what you would have to do, again, what we're talking about to kind of get everything back into some semblance of sanity is to limit some of the things that are going on. Those schools you're talking about, the Texases and the Notre Dames and the Ohio States and Alabamas and Georgias, they don't like to be limited. When you're talking about, okay, for the betterment of the entire sports, you're going to have to pull back on this. We're going to have to hold you to that. Those schools don't like that. Well, limit us. What?
Yeah.
This is what it's going to take to get it back to sanity. And if they don't like it, and they're not going to like it very much, then they are going to move towards, well, let's just have our own deal where everything's unlimited. We can do whatever we want and just have a big old playoff at the end of the year for our people. I think limiting some of the finances of this and some of the ability to move around of this is what's healthiest for college football. But those big time schools, they're not interested in making sure everything is fair for Wake Forest and Northwestern. They're interested in themselves.
Our man CJ Duncan from Yellowhammer News joins us each and every Wednesday here. Always enjoy getting his thoughts and opinion and his takes on the world of sports. And CJ, well, first of all, welcome into the show today. Thanks for joining us as always. And I'm really interested to get your thought because Barry and I were talking about this. This is where this kind of started about 30 minutes ago. An article in the Houston Chronicle reporting that the University of Texas is spending between $35 and $40 million on their football roster for 2025. That's about double what we're hearing Auburn and Alabama have been paying. How do these schools keep up with something like that?
You can. I mean, I would be shocked if it's not triple, especially what Auburn is probably bringing in. But that's wild to think about. Texas has kind of taken the model. They started it, I believe, either last year or the year before, where each person on the team kind of has a average salary of $50,000. And so, as the team continues to perform and, you continue to have to compete each year with guys on your team, high school recruits, guys outside of your team, and you have the success that they have, guys are going to come back every spring wanting more money. And so, they have resources that most of us don't have due to their geographic location, and we just kind of have to deal with it.
There's got to be limits, right? And like I said just before we welcomed you on the air, those schools, those kinds of schools, they don't like to be limited. How do we pull it back? How do we get that toothpaste back in the tube, CJ?
Well, these guys have always gotten paid though, right? The folks who have the big money, they find a way to get their money to the guys they want their money to go to. So yes, of course, I'm with you. I think there has to be some red tape around all of this. And I think there's other creative ways to do it. But when you have the alumni base that some of these universities have, especially the ones in Texas, the last couple of years weren't the first time that these guys got money to folks. So I think they're going to continue to spread the wealth if they feel like it's going to turn into wins on Saturday.
I'm interested in this. First of all, I guess we'll begin this subject by just opening up in a general sense. Do you enjoy watching the NFL draft? And was there anything to you, if so, that really surprised you about the way the draft played out, positively or negatively?
Yeah, so the draft to me is always kind of a fun time of year. I vividly remember kind of going through the process myself, and I knew I was a day 3 guy. All in all, had a lot of what's the word I'm trying to say? A lot of signs were leading to Boston for me, and had several conversations, and that didn't end up working out. But you know what? With the draft, I think you just get comfortable with the unexpected. There's not one draft where it goes exactly how you think, and every guy that probably should go first round goes first round. Or there's always this one guy who is like a head scratcher. Like he could have easily gone 3rd or 4th. Like that guy would have been there in the 3rd round. You didn't need to overdraft. It'll be interesting to see how everything works out with Jacksonville. Them giving up so much of their future in order to get Travis Hunter. I mean, you're really leaning on Travis Hunter being who he was at Colorado. And if he is that, then he'll be the first player in NFL history to do so, right? That's not an automatic. That's a anomaly kind of thing. So I thought that was very interesting. Not to draft up for the kid. He's a good kid, works hard. All he does is football and fish. You're investing into the kid, but they gave up a lot of assets in order to make that happen.
CJ, I don't know if you remember this, but the Saints did it with a guy named Ricky Williams. I mean, they gave everybody
did it.
Yeah. And I'm thinking you got to have somebody block for this guy.
Yeah,
you got to have somebody to throw him the football. I mean, one
Mhm.
guy cannot do it. And I'm wondering if the Jags have kind of gotten themselves in that situation.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot put on rookies' plate, right? Because they have that really nice receiver from LSU from last year.
Right.
He's a good player, but Trevor has struggled the last couple of years. And I think they're hoping that this new head coach who came from the Buccaneers can kind of help maturate his process. But I think to John's point, there's a lot more there than just adding a receiver in a corner, and when you're building a football team, you build it inside out, not outside in kind of thing. And so I think they have a very solid defensive line, but I think offensively, I think their line can get better. Running back play can get better. Quarterback play can also get better as well.
My response to a lot of the furor about Shedeur Sanders dropping as far as he did, I don't necessarily consider it dropping. I thought that he ended up going about maybe a little bit lower, but not much lower than he probably deserved. Round 5, pick number 6. Anything about his draft saga really surprise you one way or the other, CJ?
I will say it did surprise me. It really did. And listen, in a really good quarterback draft class, maybe he's a 4th rounder. But relative to the guys that he was going with, the quarterback class that he was with, I think that's the one thing that's getting lost on people. Regardless of your thoughts on him or his dad, or even how he plays football, right? How he plays football is what the NFL's always asked us to do, right? Look down the gun barrel, be extremely accurate, be a good decision maker, and throw with timing. That's what they've always asked.
Right.
It's recent years that they want the mobility aspect as well. And I think him being 6'1" and a little smaller than anticipated probably hurt him a little bit. I didn't necessarily have him as a 1st rounder in my book, but in my opinion, he's better than Jalen Milroe, Dylan Gabriel, Tyler Shaw, or however you say his name, from Louisville. I mean, the kid's 27 years old, first time starting, and still there's some tape out there that's still really ugly.
I'm still shaking my head on that one.
John started on.
I mean,
how Mickey Loomis still has a job, I don't know, but that's a whole other.
It's beyond me. Really, it really is beyond me. So I hear it, Barry. I do hear your sentiment there, but we have to judge him based on his class. This is his class. Cam Ward, okay. Jackson Dart, I go back and forth with. He's a good player, but also kind of is small in certain big games. But he, played well against Georgia this year, so that kind of made up for it. But we did see the collapse against Florida. That would make me a bit uneasy.
Yeah.
But there shouldn't really be anybody in between that, though. It just based on this class. That's where I stand. 5th round is kind of egregious in my opinion. Even if you got him late 2nd, early 3rd, I would have been okay with it. But I think 5th is a little far.
You mentioned Jalen Milroe. What about his fit with Seattle? And we'll talk about the Saints as well. To me, I've heard people say maybe he's a Taysom Hill kind of player. He could play a lot of positions for the Seahawks. Could you see that, or do you see him as a quarterback?
You know what? he wants to play quarterback, and I think he's going to stick to that. I think that he's going to stand his ground on that. And he's going to need a couple years to really mature at the position and understand. But the thing is, he is a guy who wants to learn. He wants to get better. And I hear that he's a very hard worker. And I think he's also been working with Palmer, who's like the quarterback guru. Carson Palmer's Jordan Palmer, Carson's brother.
Yep.
So he's been doing all the right things. And he's going to a coach, McDonald, who used to play with or used to coach Lamar Jackson. So, maybe that's where the Seahawks kind of stand with this thing. It's like, hey, look, let Sam Darnold play for a couple years, keep us kind of steady Eddie. And then when we feel like he's kind of gotten things down with the short to intermediate passing game, we can put his legs on the field and maybe we have the next Lamar Jackson. That's crazy to say because Lamar Jackson may be the greatest dual threat. Him and Michael Vick are, right there. Randall Cunningham as well, but he has the legs of those guys. Now he's got because I think people forget how incredible Michael Vick was at throwing the football. Left-handed, could throw it 80 yards on the run. You know what I mean? And he had a very, very successful passing career. So I think there's a lot of things that Jalen needs to clean up, but he's going to a guy who kind of appreciates that kind of athlete. So
I probably should know this. I mean, I follow the NFL and I understand a lot of the structure and everything with the OTAs and the summer. And of course, when camp opens and everything, but right after the draft, kid gets drafted, he goes, you always have video of him going into the team offices and everybody happy to see him. What happens immediately after the draft? I mean, are they, because they'll always tweet out CJ, ready to get to work. Well, when does the work actually start?
Yeah. So a lot of the initial stuff, it's kind of for first rounders, early second rounders, guys to get out there as quickly as possible. And, you get out there and it's a lot of media driven things, right? And, they may get your like the sizes to all your equipment, your clothes, cleats, things like that. But yeah, a lot of it is definitely media driven for you to meet the upper brass while they're still around. But really, you don't get started with the so-called work until rookie minicamp, and that's when the rest of your draftees come and you have about a 2 or 3 day span, probably 3 day span of you working out with strictly rookies. And then after that, OTAs come around, and that's when the rest of the team comes. But those are kind of voluntary, so you're not going to have your so-called superstars there, but the rest of the team will probably be there, and that's when you're kind of really going through the full practice. You're getting into the team's playbook. You're doing all the things during OTAs.
I'm sure those veterans love showing up and letting those rookies know what it's all about. I can imagine that's a pretty interesting day or two.
Yeah, you go from about 30 reps of practice to about like 3 very quickly as a rookie. And I was watching some show the other day, and I think it was Matt Hasselbeck. He brought up a good point. He said, look, regardless of how good we think a kid is, if you get drafted 4th, 5th round, whatever it is, and then your position room is pretty big, right? You have a lot of guys in there. It's not that, hey, this guy can't make a team, or hey, this guy isn't good enough. It's like, is he going to have enough reps at practice and during the preseason to actually show the team that he's good enough? If there's too many guys in the room and everybody's got to get reps and there's one ball, how many opportunities are you really going to get to show that you can make the team? So, and that happens a lot in the NFL. A lot of it is just reps, truly reps. Like, you could make a lot of good plays at practice, but if you're only getting, a couple drives in the game, is a team really wanting to invest money in somebody they only got a few drives of tape on? That's what it comes down to.
I never thought about that.
And I wonder that, CJ, when you see the backup quarterback come into a game, if the starter gets, because, these guys are playing till the final whistle. Their contract has, incentives in it, like number of passing yards or touchdowns in the season, whatever. So I've always wondered, why is the starting quarterback still in the game? They're up by 30. That's the reason. But if they get hurt and the second teamer comes in, I'm kind of going, how many reps has this guy ever had? I mean, he's coming in here cold. Did he have maybe 10 reps this week in practice?
Yeah, and it's funny. I've heard all these kind of, fireside stories about Peyton Manning. As good as Peyton Manning was in his career, he would never let the backups get reps. He's like, this guy, I mean, yeah, he's on my team, but he wants my spot too, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But he was also very detailed oriented about how he prepared for games and wanted to make sure everything was perfect. And that's why they call him the sheriff. He was very rigid when it came to preparation. But to your point, you just don't have a whole lot of reps. That's why when you do find a really good backup quarterback, a guy that's kind of got, nerves of steel kind of thing, you keep him around. Rest in peace to Tavares Jackson, who's a Montgomery native. He was one of those guys. The Seahawks would just throw him in there, and he would go and win a playoff game or whatever. And so, or the Vikings, and so he, once you find a guy like that, that's why those guys stick around forever. You're like, man, I remember Chase Daniels when he was at Missouri in the Big 12, but he stuck around forever because he was one of those guys where he got in the game, he didn't turn the ball over, and more times than not, they would win the game. So they're like, all right, this is a backup quarterback. He's gonna have a career as long as he wants. So.
All right, I've got one more question here with CJ Duncan, and it may be embarrassing. I apologize if it is. YellowhammerNews.com yesterday came out with they call their 50 Who's Next 2025 Power and Influence Who's Next, and they cited and complimented CJ Duncan as a real up and comer in the state of Alabama, and his the promise of his career, which is still very young, seems very high. So I'll add, first of all, congratulations on that. Check it out at YellowhammerNews.com. Second of all, honestly, can you tell us or give us a sense of how much of your early success in your post-athletics career is because of lessons that you learned because you were an athlete?
A lot of it is. A lot of it, and thank you guys. I appreciate that. I feel very fortunate. God has been extremely faithful in my life. I've lived multiple lives at this point, and for it to still somehow find favor has nothing to do with me. But I totally give credit to the life I lived as an athlete. The discipline of it. The work ethic and honestly, in my work, where you have to sometimes just put yourself out there, be okay with, the feedback that comes with it. I think the confidence that you have to have as an athlete as well allows me to step into rooms I probably shouldn't be in, but I'm okay with walking in them. You know what I mean? And so I do believe that all that kind of pays off, and it's led to this point for sure.
The concept of teamwork and sacrifice and working towards the greater good and stuff, I think those are universal concepts out of athletics.
Absolutely, and we have a great team at Spire. Chase Wright is is my boss and honestly a really good friend of mine. I sometimes I hate saying boss, he is, but we are such good friends that I feel like I'm not giving him enough credit. But he's allowed me the space and the freedom to be me. And I think that has led to this point, and not every organization works that way. So he deserves a lot of credit for that acknowledgement as well. And we've got a good team. Everybody understands the plan, the goal. We know the playbook, and everybody's okay with executing their part of that job, and we feed off each other pretty well.
Well, it's richly deserved, no doubt about it. And you're in a group of a lot of go-getters out there. And Barry's put a link up on our chat so you can check it out about CJ and then others in our state that are making a difference, and movers and shakers. And certainly CJ Duncan is one of those people. Barry, any mention about a weekly appearance on a podcast with a bunch of old guys? Did that boost his standing on that poll?
Humility prevents us from pointing out how much of a role that probably played.
Well,
And
you know
all-
what? That should have been at the top of the list, honestly.
There you go. CJ, it's always a joy for us to be able to visit with you. Great insight and always uplifting. Thanks for the time.
Seriously, thank you guys. You all have a good week. I'll see you next week.
Sounds great, my man. Thank you so much. CJ Duncan joining us here today. Yeah, Barry's put the link up. Check it out. Man, it's a great piece, and there's a lot, makes you feel good about the future, Barry. There are a lot of good people that are doing some great things.
Yes, exactly. And CJ is certainly one of those. Very impressive man, and certainly a blessing to our program, no question. Coming up in just a little bit. You guys have been patient. You guys have not, griped too much about it.
No.
But once again, we'll go to our Phantom's Daily Dog.
I think we will. Yeah, we will.
In just a moment or two.
Also, I'm a little confused here. Two-time caller of the year, JD at 809. Well, what is he getting at here?
Yeah. He says the NIL has screwed up college sports. You used to be able to get a Heisman Trophy and a national championship winning quarterback for $180,000.
Oh.
Now,
JD, can you expand on that a little
on
bit?
an in-state roster is $200,000. Hey, it's the cost of doing business, JD.
Now, wait a minute. Does that include a handler? You mean somebody standing next to this guy every move he makes? Is that part of it too?
Well, yeah. We'll continue on in just a moment. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
All guests of Longshore McKnight appear on the City of Montgomery guest hotline. Check out the most interesting and informed personalities in sports covering Auburn, Alabama, Troy, ASU, and all the major teams from across the country. John and Barry have the best guests brought to you by the City of Montgomery. To find out everything you need to know that is going on in the capital city, check out montgomeryal.gov. That's montgomeryal.gov, the capital of dreams.
All right, man, grab a Budweiser and take a knee. It is the best time of the year. It's baseball season. That means sunshine. It means behind-the-back peanut tosses. And it means sharing some cold, frosty Budweisers with your boys. Because there's nothing more American than watching America's game with America's beer. So let me ask you something. Are you ready to bring your A game? Are you ready to cheer every frozen rope down the line and amazing catch at the warning track? Are you ready for pitchers' duels and slugfests? Tell me, are you ready for the thrill of an incredible walk-off victory? I can't hear you. Are you ready for Budweiser and baseball? Then get on your feet, raise an ice-cold Bud, and let's make this season larger than life. Great times are waiting. Grab some Bud!
Enjoy responsibly. Budweiser Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
Why Hands? At Hands Heating and Air, you get this area's highest ranked service provider with 24-hour repair service, no overtime charges, and their same-day service guarantee. Plus, instead of other companies' 30-day repair warranty, Hands gives you a 3-year repair warranty. Hands Heating and Air is here for you 24/7, 365. And service is not just something they do, it's their way of operating, for you in mind. All of Hands employees are trained to adhere to this standard. They work hard to ensure that this standard is maintained, and they are constantly looking for new ways to better serve you. Call Hands Heating and Air today at 508-5382. That's 508-5382, or find them on the web at 834hands.com. Okay, back at it here, 23 minutes past the hour. Always appreciate CJ Duncan from Yellowhammer News joining us on Wednesdays. Always a great segment. Yeah. And I hope you enjoyed that as well. So, yeah, Phantom. Is that what you were talking about? Oh,
the Phantom's Daily Dog every day. Every day on this program, the Phantom supplies John with a daily dog. Somebody who is not favored in a particular sporting event, that the Phantom isn't saying they're going to win, but they'll get in under the number.
True.
Did it a lot during the NFL playoffs to great effect. Every once in a while, there's a little bit of a hiccup.
Yeah, every now.
But 2 days ago, the Phantoms' daily dog paid off. Houston covered the 4, the Rockets in the NBA playoffs. Now, we are getting to that point in the NBA playoffs where, unfortunately, we're separating the big boys from the pretenders and the wannabes. And we are getting to that point where there are some teams that move on, and there are some teams that just end up hitting the skids. Yesterday was one of those days where in the NBA there were 5 elimination games last night. 5.
Yes, they were. Yes, they were.
In the NBA and in the NHL, both of them.
Yes.
The Phantom hasn't gone NHL yet.
No.
5 teams, 5 elimination games last night across the NBA and NHL. 2 teams survived, 3 teams advanced. One of those games took place at Madison Square Garden.
It did.
It sure was did. Between the Detroit Pistons, who were down in that series against the New York Knicks, 3-1. Madison Square Garden. 14 lead changes in that game.
Great game.
51 personal fouls.
Even better.
51. That game Alabama men's basketball played against Texas A&M where they shot something like 88 free throws in that game, and I thought John was going to call for the dismissal of men's basketball as a sponsored sport in the NCAA. Didn't have 51 personal fouls. This one did. It was a slugfest.
Barry, I'm not sure there's been 51 calls fouled in the entire NBA season, much less one game.
Right.
That really surprised me. It was physical. We've been trying to tell you, folks, playoffs is a little more physical for some reason. Can't put my finger on it, but it is. Just take my advice and watch it. It's interesting, and there are a lot more fouls called, I guess. And it is a physical game. So you're right. It was a good one. A lot of lead changes, a lot of whistles blowing. Been checking out a lot of these NBA games. It's fun to watch. Just give it a minute. You'll get it. I think you'll enjoy it if you just are patient. Give it some time. But
in case you're wondering, that particular game that I brought up, 51 foul calls, 14 lead changes, was in the Pistons-Knicks game. Very physical battle. It was an elimination game. Knicks were leading that series 3-1. In that game, the Phantom noted that the Pistons were a dog.
Yes.
Hence the name, the Phantom's Daily Dog. The Pistons were a dog in that game of 5.5 points.
They were, Barry. They were a 5.5 point underdog in that game. With all those lead changes, they ended up winning the game outright, 106-103. They didn't even need the 5.5, but we had them anyway just for insurance purposes.
So the Phantom not only picked a winner in the Phantom's Daily Dog, but he left with kind of a warm, fuzzy feeling because, as he always says, if they don't cover, I hope they lose.
But they lose.
Well, they won and covered.
They certainly did. They won and covered.
So
it was great. I kind of felt good about this game, Barry, when I heard Charles Barkley in the pregame say he liked the Knicks. I went, oh, okay. Yeah, love my position here.
Yeah.
So, Chuck went with the Knicks. I had the Pistons. So the Pistons win it. This series extends even further.
Well,
and it's been a good one. And you told me to look out for this guy, Cam Cunningham. For the Pistons?
Oh, yeah. Cale Cunningham, yes.
24 last night. Pumps in 24 for the Pistons. He can play. I noticed him several games back.
Yeah.
Check him out. So they're a big winner. They'll play again on Thursday in Detroit. But we'll get to that on Thursday.
That's Thursday.
Yeah.
Cale Cunningham 11 of 12 from the free throw line. So nearly half his points came from the line. It was that kind of game. There were a total 63 free throws taken in that game.
That's got to be a record.
And the Knicks,
be a record.
The Knicks at the line, 16 of 27. They missed 11 free throws.
Well,
the Phantom says, thank you very much.
Yeah, think about that, Barry. You don't shoot a lot of free throws in the NBA. They probably don't practice many of them because they're never called. Now you get to postseason. What team can shoot the free throw better? Obviously, it looks to be the
makes a difference. Yep.
It does make a difference. They'll move on to play on Thursday. So what about tonight? I'm hearing some rumblings, Barry. I'm hearing a lot of rumblings, and I can't say I'm opposed to it. There's a lot of talk about the first game on the NBA schedule tonight, which it will take place.
Another elimination game.
Yes, it is. Golden State. Let me get my schedule. In Houston
tonight.
Yes.
Warriors are the 7 seed in the West. The Rockets are the 2 seed, but yet the Rockets facing elimination tonight.
Yep, and I know there's a lot of interest in this game, and I've already had some people text me about it, saying, hey, what does the Phantom think about this game between Golden State and Houston? It's an elimination game for Houston at home, and they're a favorite. Okay.
What do you see? 3.5?
I'm seeing 4.5 in some spots, but Barry, I don't even. That's not my game. That is not my game. And I mean, I can't say I'm opposed to it, but here's the game I like. Minnesota is at the LA Lakers tonight. And the Minnesota Timberwolves, a team, there again, they're like Cleveland. People hadn't been paying attention to them, but they are really good. The T-Wolves are really good. They're up 3-1 over the Lakers. It's tonight on TNT.
9 o'clock.
It is a 9 o'clock game. So, Barry, you know what the world is thinking tonight? The world is thinking there's no way that the Lakers can lose tonight and be eliminated from the NBA playoffs. There's no way. LeBron not going to let it happen.
The league is not going to let it happen.
That's right.
Is there a group text with the referee saying, hey, guys, really need the Lakers to at least get this to 6 games? That type of a thing.
So I know what you're thinking. The world's on the Lakers tonight. I'm seeing this line movement. I mean, they started out at 3.5. Now I'm seeing 6.5. The world's on LeBron. No way the Lakers are getting eliminated. The NBA is not going to let this happen. No way the T-Wolves come into LA and send the Lakers packing. Just not going to happen. Okay, maybe it won't. But the Lakers are not winning by more than 6.5.
Oh, yeah.
I'm taking the T-Wolves plus the 6.5. The world is on the Lakers. Just look at the line movement. That line has moved a ton in less than 24 hours.
Yep.
3 points. That line's moved from open to where it stands right now. I might wait till tip-off to fire down on it just so I can get more. That might be something to think about, too. I'm not saying don't go ahead and fire down on it now when I release it officially here in about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
But you might want to see you might want to get a little extra action before tip if that line keeps moving. Because, look, folks, the world loves LeBron. They love the Lakers. The TV networks love the Lakers. They don't want the Lakers to get eliminated. They are eventually.
Yeah.
It might not be tonight, but they're getting eliminated. And I think if they go back to Minnesota, they're definitely getting eliminated. But it could happen tonight.
It could.
But the Lakers aren't winning by more than 6.5. My official pick tonight, Phantom's Daily Dog, we're taking the Minnesota Timberwolves plus 6.5.
Good news, bad news in this one. The bad news for the Lakers is that only 13 teams have ever erased a 3-1 deficit to win an NBA playoff series.
Yeah.
So, the odds are long for the Lakers to actually pull it out. That's not what the Phantom's talking about. The good news is that LeBron James has experience doing it. One of the most memorable series in the history of NBA basketball, LeBron was at the center of it in 2016, 9 years ago.
Key point.
LeBron led the Cleveland Cavaliers to become their first NBA championship, first title of any kind for Cleveland in forever. LeBron and the Cavaliers that year, 2016, became the first team in NBA history to overcome a 3-1 deficit in the finals, the fourth team to win the series after losing the first two games. It was, again, LeBron was named the NBA Finals Most Valuable Player, again, coming from 3 down to win the series against the Golden State Warriors.
Yes.
And LeBron was crazy. One of the best defensive plays I ever seen. Remember him chasing down Andre Iguodala with that block in Game 7 where he came from like half court to block the layup? LeBron was the first player in NBA history in that series to lead all players in a playoff series in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. Now, that was 9 years ago. LeBron's a little bit older.
I go another key point. 2016 and a little bit older. Here's what the difference is going to be tonight in this game. Okay. Lakers might get a big lead. Everybody's happy in La La Land. Jack Nicholson's on the front row, everything, all that kind of stuff. But the Timberwolves are younger and deeper. And you've noticed in this playoff run and really kind of in the regular season, when he gets into the fourth quarter, LeBron's tired. Luka's tired.
Dude's 40 years old,
Hello, exactly. These guys aren't spring chickens. So these guys are getting out there playing 40 minutes a night. And what was it? The other night, they played the whole game, basically.
Yeah, they played every second of the second half. The people who started the second half for J.J. Redick and the Lakers, one of them wasn't a starter, but the other four were, including LeBron. The players who started the second half for the Lakers in that series played every second of the
I hope that happens tonight. If I look out there and LeBron's on the floor and been out there for 40-something minutes and he's still out there, I'm thinking, good. I'm in. Luka, good. I'm in. I don't want those young guys out there that can go all night. And I can see this scenario playing out, Barry, where he gets late in the game. I might be a little groggy tomorrow because I'm going to have to stay up, watch the end of this one.
Yeah.
It's a little late in the game. It's tight. Maybe the Lakers up by 1 or 2, down by 1 or 2. They're going to give it to LeBron. Maybe he wins the game with a 3. Ain't no big deal. So what? Okay.
Knock yourself out. Hey.
I'm catching 6.5. They can do that all night. So there's where we are. We're taking the T-Wolves and the points tonight because the world is going to be – it's already showing up. World's already on the Lakers. No way they can lose. No way they can get eliminated. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Also, one other thing before we go to break, that is the Phantom's Daily Dog, Minnesota plus the 6.5. Check your notes before you, what was John's phrase? Fire down. Minnesota.
Well, you might want to you might want to give it a little light tap right now and then maybe hammer it a little harder. Range Pro's dying at my gambling terminology I'm spitting out here this morning.
Oh, yeah.
He's going, does Barry understand what he's saying?
A lot more than I used to. A lot more than I used to. I'm still not sure what juice and chalk have to do with it. Those are elementary school things. But also, so there's your Phantom's Daily Dog for today. Minnesota plus the 6.5. A quick Braves update. We mentioned, John's mentioned before, that the Braves are playing the worst team in Major League Baseball, very likely on track to become the worst Major League Baseball team ever. The Colorado Rockies in Denver. Night before last, Monday night, we pointed out that the Braves won 6-3. Braves had 14 hits in that game against the absolutely putrid Rockies, and they won it. Last night, Braves playing Colorado again, 14 more hits. And the Braves beat the Rockies 8-2 after that horrendous 8-2 final. The Rockies drop to 4-25 on the season.
There again, I mean, what are they talking about in the clubhouse? Why is it a clubhouse in baseball and not a locker room? Like a ballpark in a stadium. Yeah.
You know, like the clubhouse, like when kids used to have the clubhouse up in the treehouse or something.
I don't know who the manager of the Colorado Rockies is, but he's got his work cut out for him.
Well,
okay, fellas. Let's go out there and get it done tonight.
And they're like, what are you talking about? We stink. We're awful. We're not going to win. But as Geddy Lee points out, the Braves have now won 9 of their last 11. And if today, by the way, this afternoon, a 2:00 start time from Denver, so get ready to check that out. If the Braves win today against Colorado, the Braves are a 500 team. They will have battled back from that abysmal start. Our moneyline magician, Josh Harris, says the Braves are going to make the playoffs this year. Well, they're on track. They would be, with a win today, they would be 15-15.
So, okay. All right. They're probably going to win today. I think is it today or tomorrow? They got an early game.
Yeah, today they play at 2:10 this afternoon.
Yeah.
Kind of getaway day for the Braves.
All right.
Even though they do not have a
go
game
meet them out there at the
yeah,
airport. All you Braves fans with your tomahawk chop and all get all giddy and have fun because reality is going to hit you this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend again. An early game today. No game for the Braves tomorrow and on Friday. Dun 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 dun. The Braves take on the LA Dodgers. 6:15 Friday night. First game of a weekend series against the defending World Series champion.
There you have it. Hey, Tobias checking in today. He's watching the NBA playoffs. Hey, you're right, Tobias. Made it fun, a little physical. Look, I'm not asking for all-out fights in these games, but I kind of like the physical game.
Physical play, Tobias. He says physical play has made the NBA playoffs fun this year. Disagree. Basketball is a beautiful game when it's free-flowing and guys are passing and in sequence and in pace, and there's spacing on the court, and you have open shots and transition. When you've got a long rebound and a great outlet pass from the guard filling the lane to the right, and you've got a trailer behind you, and you've got a wing shooter on the far side, and you throw it in sequence, and he stops and pops. That's great, as opposed to guy gets a big rebound, quick outlet, guy takes it to the bucket, and gets knocked the bejeebers belt out into the second row. Yeah. I mean, John's saying, that is not beautiful basketball. That is rollerball, basically.
You know, in the backyard of the frat house back in the day, that's kind of how we played.
It's so much better when there's spacing and movement without the ball, and again, timing and assists. John says assists. That kind of thing. Instead of guy gets a nice pass, heads to the bucket, maybe a bit of an angle, maybe a bit of leverage, and then some big brutish guy comes up and lowers the shoulder into him and knocks him cartwheeling into the cheerleaders. John's like, this is great.
No. You know, back in the day in a pickup game, you called your own fouls.
I'm surprised.
And really the only foul was if you pushed a guy off the floor. I mean, unless it was just flagrant. But I mean, a little tap on the wrist. Or a little body movement. Come on. So I'm with you, Tobias. Good job there. Appreciate the chat. You can get it on the chat as well anytime. Our River Regis Straw chat line. You can email us. Ooh, look at this, Barry. Got a couple of emails in the Longshore and McKnight Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry email inbox today.
Love those as well. We may have to hit those as well, but we will definitely hit the Gurn Jr. Victoryland 777 topic wheel when we come back. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Ford announces employee pricing on every new 24 and most new 25 Fords, and only at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, up to $5,000 below employee pricing, plus no payments for 90 days. From America, for America, at Stivers Ford in Montgomery. home of America's best-selling truck for nearly 50 years in a row, the F-150, with hundreds to choose from. The Ford Escape, the Ford Edge, and the Ford Bronco, all priced at thousands below invoice. And pack up the crew in a Ford Expedition or a Ford Explorer for the beach, the lake, or the big game. It's all at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, where price sells cars.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
You're not buying sticks, stems, and pine cones. You're buying premium long-diddle pine straw from River Region Straw. Kenny and his staff have access to the best pine straw in the River region, full of color that will last all season long. Kenny has locations in Montgomery, Prattville, and Auburn, and no order is too big or too small, from a few bales to an 18-wheeler trailer load. Pickup is available, or your order can be delivered. They can even spread your pine straw if you like. So call or text Kenny today, 669-5959. That's 669-5959 for all of your pine straw needs. Okay, about 14 minutes to the top of the hour here today. Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. I know Gurn's been working on that Victoryland 777 topic wheel today. I see it up there in the window. So without further ado.
No more ado.
Let's spin it. Here we go. The Victoryland 777 topic wheel, where you can be a winner too. Open 24/7. Ooh.
Round and round.
Oh, I think it skipped there on us and it landed on Troy. How about that?
Yeah, big doings in Troy. Trojan baseball yesterday was a run rule winner over Jacksonville State. And anytime Troy beats Jacksonville State, it's a big deal. Win it in 7, 12-2. Trojans go to South Alabama for 3 games in baseball and Sun Belt play beginning Friday at 6:30. Right now, 3rd in the league standings. Next home game for Troy will be next Tuesday, a little bit less than a week, at 6 o'clock next Tuesday night against the Alabama Crimson Tide in Troy. There might be a couple of tickets remaining for that one. Can't vouch for it specifically, but you need to go to TroyTrojans.com/tickets to check and see, because it's going to be good. Troy and Alabama both ranked in the top 25. It should be outstanding. Also, this week coming up, don't forget it's an early week for the start of softball versus South Alabama Thursday, 6 o'clock against the Jags. First 100 fans receive a Troy softball rally towel. They'll play at 5 o'clock on Friday and then at 3:33 on Saturday. Also, one more thing about Troy. John mentioned that today is the last day of April. Tomorrow is the priority football season ticket deadline. Purchase or renew your 2025 Troy football season tickets by tomorrow, and you can secure your commemorative Larry Blakeney bobblehead doll.
Oh, sweet.
Blakeney was named in January to the College Football Hall of Fame. They'll have the induction in Vegas a little bit later on in the year, so that's to commemorate that. Go to TroyTrojans.com/tickets to make sure you purchase or renew your 2025 Troy football season tickets by May 1st to not only get tickets to what should be a really, really good season, a really good home schedule, but to get your Larry Blakeney bobblehead. That'll come to you. That'll be great.
That'll be awesome.
Yep.
Outstanding. All right. Victoryland 777 topic wheel continues on here today.
Yeah.
And, let's see what we got going on it. It's spinning around. Victoryland located off I-85, exit 22, Shorter, Alabama.
Is this a word?
Ekbald. Let's see here. Oh, some more hockey action.
Ekblad, yeah, okay.
Oh, wait a minute. Some guy got hit so hard they're having a hearing? Ooh, that doesn't sound good.
The Panthers, Aaron Ekblad, John, forearm shiver into
right to the neck. Oh,
right,
yeah.
Lightning's Brandon Hagel, Aaron Ekblad suspended for 2 games for elbowing. That ain't elbowing. That is forearming. Brandon Hagel in game 4. Ekblad just returned from a 20-game suspension for violating the league's performance-enhancing drug policy. He just got back in game 3, and he's already suspended again for game 4, 2 more games. Offensive zone. I mean, if you saw just now, Gurn Jr. put the slow-mo, it was like, wow, right up in there.
Yeah.
Wow.
I hope that guy's okay. Yeah, really, I do. But that was pretty. See, that's what people go to hockey games for.
They didn't even call a penalty, but
heck no.
They looked at it. The league looked at it, and I mean, it was a penalty.
Now, what constitutes a penalty and what not in hockey? I mean, can you just not? I mean, if the guy's got the puck, can you hit him? Or if he guy's just standing there, you can't.
You can check him. What you can't do is you can't high stick. And there's none of this, and there's, you can't do any of that. And it's like, the referee before of a fight, no kidney punches, all this kind of stuff. But the one thing that you really can't do, I mean, there was no penalty called on Aaron Ekblad for that hit. But the one thing you can't do is you can't commit icing.
Yeah.
Icing is no bueno. They will stop it. They didn't call a penalty on that guy, but if you ice, they're going to catch it.
Which I think is slinging the puck down to the other end of the floor in that icing.
Yeah. And they have to chase it. I don't think you can have icing on a power play or something like that. I don't know. But all of a sudden, I mean, you're sitting there. I'm watching the one hockey game, the one pro NHL game I ever went to was Maple Leafs versus the Thrashers in Atlanta. And I mean, you're getting into it. Guys are flying around all over the place. There's action everywhere. And all of a sudden, the referee will blow his whistle. And you're like, what? Icing.
Yeah. Can't do it.
What the heck is icing? Well, you sling it all the way down to the other end of the. Well, what's wrong with that?
I think there's a rule in soccer similar to that. You can't kick it all the way down there.
Yeah, that's offside.
Offside.
You can tell when somebody's not a real big soccer fan because they'll call it offsides. It's not offsides. It's offside. And man, you can't do that. And they get in there, and I mean, they get that video replay. And if the guy's shoelace is across that offside line, which is the furthest back defender, offsides. I'm thinking it was like a quarter inch. Give me a break.
So, is there fighting in college hockey?
Heck yeah.
Do they let them fight in college? Like the Big Ten, like when Minnesota's playing Purdue and Big Ten hockey? Is there a fight breaking out like you see in the Maple Leafs Islanders game?
The same thing applies there as what we were talking about basketball. Hockey is a beautiful game if you can let them play and, play beautiful hockey and skate and free flowing and free form and everything like that. Back when we were growing up, formative years, that was the only reason why John even paused to look at the ESPN Sports Center highlights of hockey is if somebody dropped the gloves and was taking a poke at somebody else. You don't see it as much, John. You still see it. But, man, back in the days of the Broad Street Bullies with the Philadelphia Flyers and some of those guys, man, there were 3 or 4 fights a game, and the fans would be banging on the plexiglass and everything. And John's like, all right, okay. Y'all hang on a minute. Let me check this out. Nowadays, there's not really that much anymore.
That's why I like the movie Slapshot so much. Yeah, I love Slapshot. Yeah. They need to
if it wasn't for the Hanson brothers, ain't nobody remembers Slapshot for Paul Newman.
Not really.
It's the Hanson brothers. So I don't think they ever acted in another motion picture in their entire cinematic careers. Okay. All right.
All right, Gurn, spin
we've gone
the
X-Lab for
wheel.
10 minutes. Here we go.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, we have. Awesome. All right. Victoryland 777 topic wheel, exit 22 off I-85 Short, Alabama, open 24/7. Double overtime. Yeah, I'm a big overtime guy. Listen, overtime in hockey? Wow, we're going big time hockey today. The New Jersey Devils and the Carolina Hurricane. Yeah.
For some reason, my son Jack is a big hockey fan, although, I don't get it. He didn't exactly. And he loves the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes are his team. They've never been there or anything like that. But yesterday, in 2 overtimes, the Hurricanes 5-4 over the Devils. That's another thing about hockey. Back in the day, you used to have the Canadiens, you used to have the Bruins, you used to have the Blackhawks, and the Rangers. That was about it. They only had like 8 teams. Now you've got playoff hockey, Hurricanes, and Devils. A team from North Carolina and a team from Newark, New Jersey.
I know it's overtime, but if 9 goals are scored in a hockey game, that's like a, 58-47 game in college football.
Yeah.
That's a lot of goals in a hockey game.
Well, the bad news is for my son Jack is that the good news, the Hurricanes eliminated the Devils in round 1 of the playoffs. So the Devils are out. In Raleigh.
Wasn't Putty a big New Jersey Devils fan?
Yeah, he painted his face, man. He painted his face, and Elaine and Jerry and George they're all ready to go to the hockey game, and out he comes in his Devils jersey and his face painted. They're like, what are you doing? He says, I'm getting into the game, and I mean, it looks.
So in the New York metro area, they've got 3 NHL teams, the Devils, the Rangers, and the Islanders.
Yes, exactly right.
That's a lot of hockey.
I don't know. If you ever see me with my face painted, there's only 2 viable reasons why. Number 1 is I'm being kidnapped and threatened with kidnap. Or number 2, there's a Kiss concert playing at Garrett Coliseum.
Oh, man, Kiss Army. Dr. Love and rock and roll all night.
Okay.
All right,
let's hit another one. Yes.
2 more topics here on the Victoryland 777 topic wheel.
I think we can do it.
You can be a winner, too, at Victoryland in Loose Josie.
A loose Joey. Yeah, a kangaroo.
What's up with this?
A Joey is a baby kangaroo. I thought it said Loose Joe when we were going to talk about Susie Colbert and I Want to Kiss You, and I could care less about the team struggling. Yeah, a kangaroo right down the interstate.
What is this thing doing in Macon County?
Well, I don't know, considering this is Macon County, and we're sponsored by Victoryland's 777 Casino. Maybe he was headed there. I don't know.
Maybe he wants to be a winner, too.
That's exactly right.
Biggest cash payouts?
Yep, there you go.
Were they transporting these animals to a zoo or something?
I'm not really sure what happened, but that was a real thing. The kangaroo's okay. The little baby kangaroo is fine and all that, but it still makes you wonder what in the world was that all about.
I wonder about that too. I've seen a lot of interesting things on the interstate, particularly around Macon County. I didn't think I'd ever see that. Barry Theoda says Kiss will not play unair-conditioned venues. So
I know. I was making a point. There ain't no way in God. I ain't never painting my face. In other words, what I'm saying. But ain't no way. I was being facetious because Kiss ain't playing Garrett Coliseum. Come on.
It's Susie Colbert, not Susan Gobble. It's Susie Colbert.
No. Yeah, Susie Colbert. Susie Colbert interviewed Joe Namath when he was inebriated on the sidelines, and they didn't know ahead of time there was inebriated. But he told Susie Colbert that he wanted to kiss her on live.
It was a big Jets reunion, I believe. It was like the reunion of the Super Bowl III champs, and Joe and his former teammates got a little loose, maybe a little overserved, and told Susie he wanted to kiss her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. One more.
One more to go. Let's do it,
this.
Gurn. Yes, sir. Let's see what this could be about.
Is this Tatum O'Neal, who was 10 years old when she won the Academy Award for Paper Moon?
Or who was the former L.A. Raider that had to stick him on his hand? The
Jack
defensive
Tatum.
back.
Nice.
Jack Tatum, yeah.
Yeah. The Celtics and the Magic. Jason Tatum, who I actually once called one of his games in the NCAA tournament when he played for Duke. Jason Tatum, one of the great stars of the NBA for the Celtics. He is all that. He is an amazing player. And he made
10 assists, 8 rebounds. And
here's the deal.
Woo.
Here's the deal. Last 3 playoff games for Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum, game 5, 35 points, 11 for 11 from the free throw line. He is the first, and he had 35 in the game against the Magic, 37 in game 4, 36 in game 3. In those 3 games, in game 3, 36 points, 12 of 12 from the line. Wow. 37 points in game 4, 14 of 14 from the line. And in game 5, 35 points, 11 for 11. That means in a 3-game span, he was 37 for 37 from the line. And in the entire 5-game series, 37 for 41. The first NBA player in history to make 10-plus free throws without a miss in 3 consecutive playoff games.
Pretty impressive.
Amazing.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
So have our viewers, our listeners, our contributors to our chat room, our emailers. We greatly appreciate it. And certainly hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Really appreciate that. Helps out with everything. You won't miss any content, instant notifications when something drops, when we're on live, or when you can watch us. So, well, you can watch us anytime you want to.
That's right.
On YouTube and Facebook, and listen to us on Spotify. So there's so many options, but we do appreciate you. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. That's huge. Thanks to CJ Duncan from Yellowhammer News joining us today. And Barry, we're going to do it again tomorrow.
Yep. Getty Lee, remember to bring your stopwatch, because tomorrow, once again, one of his famous shticks is to time how long we have our segment with the Tiger Insider, Rodney Orr, on the Thursday show.
Yeah, exactly. Him. So looking forward to that.
Jason
awesome
Caldwell, AuburnUndercover.com, will join us tomorrow as well.
Hey, have a great day. We appreciate it. And check us out, like I said, in so many other different formats at your convenience, or watch us live 7 to 9 a.m. each weekday.
Yep. He is John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.